They lied to us. Alpine lied to us. Where's the pink camo? And now I understand why they showed us 2 liveries instead of 1. The wet one was a distraction. The A524 is the culmination of a very worrying trend in this era of Formula 1. Weight saving by reducing colour and just resorting to bare carbon fibre. I understand the need to save weight, and this is a very, very concerning symptom of this era of cars. But surely, the FIA and Formula 1 should get around the table and find some way of having some kind of colour allowance. The car designs themselves are looking quite similar. Now they're all going to look pretty much just a different variation of carbon fibre colour. Because there is no colour. In fact, as I was seeing it being revealed, they were so desperately close to get it as close to the text of BWT as possible to not allow a singular iota above that for the sake of saving weight. It was just looking so bare. My live reaction was basically initially, when I saw a little bit of blue on the nose cone, it was like, ooh, oh no, there is no livery. And I'll tell you something, this was an absolute play. They played us. A couple of weeks ago, when McLaren suddenly dropped their livery for 2024 on the MCL60 shell, Alpine had to go and steal the thunder by revealing a little clue of pink camo on the nose cone. We thought we were going to be getting an evolution of the Palace Kappa collaboration they had during the Las Vegas show when they had a special livery, where it was practically the same livery, but just with an added texture, which was kind of cool in the lights under Las Vegas, and I thought it would just been a continuation of their involvement with Kappa in terms of their clothing brand. But no, it just became mostly carbon fibre. The numbering is still the same, which is one of the few good things I can say about the current Alpine design. Those numbers are very, very cool. But the A523 was so much better in a way. I liked the idea of integration with the kind of mesh honeycomb effect on the back. It was very French, and I like that kind of area of French design. But now, it just looks so bare. I understand what they were doing, to try and have like some kind of pixelation with the different shades of blue and pink, and now we've got a big A for Alpine on the back like we have for the A521, but it just looks so out of joint. And the BWT, you can barely see it. I mean, I'm looking at renders right now, and it is really obscure. It's much less obvious than it was before. And then get this, they had the pink variation for the first few flyaway races until I think the Australian Grand Prix. They needn't have bothered. We had a countdown to look at a livery where we thought we would have gotten something different, maybe all pink, but no. I could barely tell the difference. It was just slightly more pixelated pink on the nose cone monocoque area. I'm like, what was even the point of having the pink livery? It's become a tradition since 2022, and now they needn't have bothered. They've used lights to make it look more snazzy, but I'm sorry, Alpine. There's just some little bits of colouring, so when we look at the roll bar camera, it looks more colourful than it actually is, because that's probably what we're going to be seeing most of the time. But I'm just like, there is no livery here. This is probably the worst one in that there is very little design going on, and they clearly spent all of their budget on designs on their World Endurance car, the A424. That one looks amazing. I'll give you a little crumb of comfort, because the A424 is what the A521, the first Alpine car, looked like, essentially. That design is a modern classic, and we now get to see that in World Endurance, and it looks spectacularly good. In a sport where they don't have to worry about stripping paint and having carbon fibre to save weight, we got to see that from the front. The silver shiny chrome lid of it, mostly blue at the front with the French pinstripe down the middle, then the pixelation going from white to red. Oh, it was such a good design, the World Endurance car. It looked so good. And what was really good is seeing my boy was in the audience and he was talking really nice. He's part of the Alpine crew. That was brilliant in my opinion. That livery is what we should have seen on the car. And don't get me started on those rear headlights in the shape of the Alpine A. Oh, that was so good. Oh, it's such a brilliant design, and one of the good things about LED technology in that you can have lights in any shape that you want. It was so good. And now, again, I understand why they showed the wet car alongside the F1 car, because they knew the F1 car was going to cause some controversy. In fact, there was barely a livery. It was so overly weighted towards the Alpine wet car. Oh my goodness. And on top of that, it was after 20 minutes of talking. and it just felt so stunted. Say what you will about the Sauber presentation, at least there was something going on. There was stuff happening, and it was quite down with the youth market, and there was always things going on with a nice presentation. Their location looked really snazzy, the ambience was really, really on point, whereas this one just looked really stunted. It looked really formal, very serious. And the car that we got, I'm just looking at it right here. I'm looking on the airbox. There are pointy pink bits, yes, of course, but it's so limited. It's mostly carbon fiber. It's just little strips of color every now and again, just to remind us, like, oh, we were meant to paint this. And okay, they've got plenty of sponsors. There's no worry about sponsors there. But I don't think we don't even have the French pinstripe at the front. So it's not even looking French. And that's a shocker. A French team that doesn't immediately look French, apart from the tricolour underneath the Alpine logo. That's the only little bit of French we have. Even the BWT around the rear wing looks just anemic. Just, my goodness. Even the test livery they had in 2020, when it was all black, save the yellow number of the driver, that looked dangerous. But now we're getting to a position where the teams are starting to get less and less bashful and nervous about having carbon fiber pretty much on all of their cars, to the point where Alpine has practically just gone, this is a feature. It's a feature. Yeah. Maybe we're going with the logic of the race suits because they are pretty much the same from last year. So, well, our drivers just have a couple of stripes of color on their race suits, so why don't we just have it on the car? Yeah, we're just mirroring the drivers, so what's the problem with that? You like the race suits, so why don't you like the car? Well, the difference is that we don't see the race suits as often, and black race suits do look cool. But the idea of a car is it's to represent the brand. It's meant to represent the team. The A521 is a modern classic, and sure, the A522 was mostly riddled with BWT, but it still looked okay. But now there's just simply no design language. And the likes of McLaren, with their MCL38, they can get away with that because it is sort of almost a negative inversion of the Marlboro livery from the 80s and 90s. It can sort of get away with that because there is a connection to history. The likes of Sauber, they can get away with it kind of because the brand colorings of the big sponsors that sponsor it, at least for the time being, because they're getting in trouble with the Swiss courts, that is sort of in keeping. Haas, well, they need every break they can get, so I'll give them a pass on that front. Williams, they have discovered paint, finally, since all of the bits of carbon fiber aren't that intrusive. But this one, I still can't get over the fact that we were tricked. We were scammed. McLaren just showcasing their livery 2 weeks early, and then Alpine comes in saying, hey, we need to be relevant, so pink camo, boom, social media, there. And then it's not even on the actual car. Was this a last minute change? Was that the plan the whole time? Or was that just a reminder from what we got in Las Vegas? Just, my goodness. I mean, there are some bits, the bits that are colored do look cool. I just wish that the base color is what we get with the Alpine A, that shiny blue, that shiny matte blue. That would look so good if just transplanted to the entire car. Other than that, it's just looking like a test livery. You know what? That's how I'm going to cope. This is just really, really depressing. But I suppose when you look at it from the T-cam, it won't look too bad because you won't see most of the black. Yeah, I mean, that's my justification. But my goodness. They were trying to replicate the race suits, but failed miserably. It doesn't look loud and proud. It looks really modest, and that's just not right. And I know that some of you may be thinking, well, Renault had black on their car. Well, yeah. The Renault Sport organization, their colors are yellow and black together look fantastic. It's a very dangerous and hazardous color combination and always looks really spicy. If this were a Renault car, the RS24, and not Alpine, which is meant to be blue, and we had Renault, which was meant to be yellow and black, that'd be fine. They could use some clever tactics to get away with the idea of having carbon fiber, like Mercedes did last year with their black silver arrows design, where they could hide the black on nostalgia from 2020. They could get away with that. That was fine. They had an excuse. But Alpine, no. The race suits. That's the only excuse I got for them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm done. I just want to leave. Much like the rumors stating that Gasly and Ocon both want to leave, that you can find out more about from here. This video you can watch next.